maybe that's like a ingredient of the UK where it's an opportunity in the UK that you guys were able to capitalize on. But it's you get magic, you get One Piece, you get things that like I can't get through my distributor because I don't have a physical store.
Right.
So that's interesting. There's definitely like a open opportunity in the UK for people to get things that others can't just because it's less accessible or less popular, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
And your store has been successful. What's I don't know if you know any numbers or willing to share numbers, but what's your allocation like for like a new Pokemon set? How many booster
It
boxes would you
varies.
get?
So
Yeah.
I've been with the distributor a couple of years now. And even then, it's not the same story every time a new set comes out. So for like you saying you can't get like other TCGs, I knew when I started the online store to make it, or if I wanted to make it work and be successful and be varied, that I didn't want to just stop Pokemon. I wanted it to be all encompassing and all that sort of stuff. So it goes up and down. There are some sets that I will get everything that I want, basically boostable. When I say everything that I want, there is a cap on that. But I can get a decent-ish amount of booster boxes, ETBs, collection boxes. Sometimes it depends on the set. Sometimes we don't like even bother getting in some of the collection boxes, or as many ETBs versus booster boxes. I kind of try and judge whether people are going to be excited about it or not. But there are some times where we get next to nothing. If it's like going to be really popular, and maybe when there's like a second wave of product, we'll get like a better amount in. But it's completely up and down. There's no guarantee. And that's kind of tough when you're running a store, not knowing 100% that you're guaranteed to get X amount of product. You kind of just have to hope and pray. And another thing to note is we only really stock English product. I do have some, we occasionally stock some Japanese, like One Piece. We've had Japanese One Piece. Japanese Pokemon, I just can't really stock it. I don't have it, I think as well, it's not the easiest thing to get. So we are
really exist. Like you can only, there's no way to get a Japanese distributor outside of Japan. So everybody that's importing, essentially, unless they have their own store in Japan, they're paying secondary market prices already, and then there's more added onto that. So it's really difficult. It's really risky when you're buying a $50 box for $150, like 151. Not knowing. It's a tough thing to do. So, and I like to go against the grain anyway. Everybody wants Japanese right now. I'll just buy more English. So,
do the complete opposite.
Exactly, it tends to work. So, are you able to sell through like all your stuff when you get it?
So, yes, and no. Sometimes things don't end up being as popular as maybe we hoped, but I have the benefit of where I have like the live streaming side of things. Obviously, I can use product for, my live streams. But we have a fairly good customer base for the online store. And like I said, we always try and be as like, you can't really be strategic. I know everything's a bit of like, until it happens. But like, for example, where are we now? We've just had Paldea Evolve come out, and we've got 151 coming, but in between all of that we've got Obsidian Flames coming as well, which I think unfortunately is just going to get absolutely flattened, a bit like Fusion Strike did. So it's always just trying to like judge, like not going overboard on something that we're just going to then end up with loads of excess product basically. But I mean, we just try and work it as best we can. Doesn't always work out, but like I said, there's no guarantee we'll get the same amount of booster boxes each time, or we'll get the same amount of ETBs, or there's certain products I can't order because I don't have a physical store.
So for example, you do have limitations.
They do have limits. In general, I can get products from most TCGs, but there are like certain products within that TCG. So for example, with Pokemon, there's certain items you can't order unless you have a brick and mortar. Flesh and Blood is now a brick and mortar only item, and it didn't used to be originally.
Did that sell
things
well for
change
you?
with Flesh and Blood. So I started buying Flesh and Blood from the distributor. I can't remember the first, maybe like a couple of years ago, whenever it originally came out, I think. And yeah, it was popular at the time. But now I can't get it at all because I'm not a brick and mortar store. I'm online. They changed their rules because they started having issues. And that's the thing with the whole distribution side of things, especially for my experience. Like rules things can change. You know, if they have problems with certain areas of, you know, certain products, nothing's guaranteed. Things can change overnight, so it's hard to sort of be 100% with anything, or telling people, you know, we're definitely going to get all of this, or we're definitely going to get all of that. Because I see some people do things like, I think, I can't remember what set it was, but I saw people putting out pre-orders for, I don't know if it was Crown Zenith, or it was something, it was a popular set. I think it was maybe older than that. And like, I heard of them putting out too many pre-orders and not getting their full allocation. Customers have paid, like that sort of stuff scares me. Like you have to be so careful. So we always try and make sure, you know, we don't go overboard with that sort of thing. You can't, you know, allow people to order what you don't have, what doesn't exist, and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like I said, nothing's guaranteed in general. You hope to get a certain amount, but it's never promised. And especially with really popular sets as well. Everyone wants it, so it's like a fight to the death sometimes as to what you're actually going to get your hands on.
Yeah, I don't even have a way to sell my modern product. I just buy it and it sits in a storage unit. Like, selling on eBay makes no sense because fees are too high, and the margins right now are terrible because it's back to normal for a modern product. And then I just don't have the time or care to try to sell it privately. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that clip, be sure to check out the full video podcast right here. And every Thursday, we drop a new podcast that premieres on YouTube here live at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to subscribe and comment down below which guest you'd like me to have on next.